and welcome back to Ivy English. I'm Karen.
And I'm Chris Gorski.
Today is April 3rd, and today we're going to hear part 2 of the article that we started yesterday. Pistol shrimp, small shrimp, big sound. And we are on page 11 of your magazines. Here's our first paragraph. One way to monitor marine biodiversity is to send divers down to take photos and notes. However, this method is expensive, time-consuming, and sometimes risky. On coral reefs, noise is an indicator of a healthy seabed. This is largely thanks to pistol shrimp, which often live inside sea sponges on coral reefs. The healthier the reef, the more pistol shrimp it hosts. This makes them perfect biological indicators. However, counting them visually is tricky because they often stay hidden.
To address this, scientists turn to sound. Pistol shrimp snaps are loud, short, and rich in energy. They stand out from background ocean noise. Scientists use underwater microphones, called hydrophones, to detect these sounds. By placing these microphones in strategic patterns, experts can analyze where these sounds come from and estimate the population size without disturbing ocean life.
Pistol shrimp populations are now showing up in surprising new locations where the water was once too cold for them to survive. Their expanding range signals warming seas and shifting climate patterns. These noisy little creatures are no longer just indicating reef health. They're broadcasting warnings about Earth's environmental changes. Maybe it's time we listened more carefully to what all that snapping is really telling us. That's an important warning. Let's go back to the beginning. Our title again, Pistol Shrimp, Small Shrimp, Big Sound. If you did not listen to our broadcast yesterday, I suggest you listen to that first because there are a lot of things that are important to understanding today's passage, and it will make it much clearer if you've listened to that first. Okay, one way to monitor marine biodiversity is to send divers down to take photos and notes. However, this method is expensive, time-consuming, and sometimes risky.
Okay, so we have a lot of information here, and let's just start with some vocabulary. Monitor is to watch something carefully and to check on the quality. In Latin, it literally means to warn, and so a monitor will warn you if there's a problem. You should write that down. Biodiversity is telling you how many kinds of plants and animals currently exist in a place. A high level of biodiversity is considered good. Now, I want you to circle monitor, that OR, and we're going to pay attention because at the end of this paragraph, we're going to see the word indicator, and we're going to see these words are related. When something is time-consuming, it takes a very long time, and risky obviously means it can be dangerous.
And it's expensive besides. On coral reefs, noise is an indicator of a healthy seabed. So you think that noise can be awfully annoying, but if you hear noise, it actually means that the seabed is healthy.
Now, you can call it the seafloor. There's not any real difference. It's kind of a preference thing as far as I'm concerned, relating to scientists, but your seabed is just the seafloor. It's not the ground. We don't say the sea ground, and that is something I occasionally hear students talk about. The coral reef, if you don't know, is that hard kind of rocky thing that you'll often see in movies where you have those colorful bright fish. Those are actually living creatures. They're not just rocks. And of course we know if it gets too warm that the coral reef can die. They turn white and it's called bleached. And it's a pretty sad thing to see.
Since you mentioned seabed and sea bottom and also on the ground and seafloor, we should note the difference between on the ground and on the floor. Normally, when you're inside a building and then the floor maybe has tile or wood or something over it, then we say the floor. And if it's outside, we say it fell on the ground. This is largely thanks to pistol shrimp, which often live inside sea sponges on coral reefs.
I love the idea, like, we have this noisy neighbor. It's like, okay, well, everything's okay because my neighbor is screaming and hollering. It's only when they're quiet I start getting nervous.
That can happen.
Yes, I can see that, although it's a little sad.
It sounds like a murder mystery, actually.
Now, a sponge, in case you don't know, is also an animal. And yes, sponges can move. There are videos. This is a great article. After you finish, mark some things down. go look at the pistol shrimp in action. Go look at the mantis shrimp that I brought up. And go watch a video of a sponge moving around. It's really weird. They're like, how does the sponge move? How does that happen? It's pretty funny.
There are so many differently designed creatures in the world. And one thing you mentioned was biodiversity. If we have a lot of biodiversity, it's a good thing. That's one thing we need to learn as humans. Sometimes, for political or other reasons, we want everybody to be the same, to be standardized. But actually, it's our differences that give us strength.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and I suppose the problem is I'm a person that always like a variety of people. So when I see people that don't, I'm always like, why? It's confusing to me.
These people seem to live in a very, very narrow world. That world quickly gets boring because not enough interesting things happen because you don't have enough diversity. With more diversity, you'd find things that occupy you other than conspiracies.
Yeah, you get bored and start looking for crazy things.
Well, that's what happens. Exactly. The healthier the reef, the more pistol shrimp it hosts. So these noisy little annoying creatures, actually, if you have lots of them, it means that you have a very healthy reef.
So your former student, Anthony, my recording partner at Enjoy, has trained me well. And anytime I see this, the adjective ER, the more, something, the second I see this, I can hear your former student, Anthony, say, the more we get together, the happier we'll be.
He does it every time.
Every single time. And it's extremely effective. It's a wonderful teaching tool.
Yes.
And my students learn it. They learn it that way because that's the way Anthony taught me, and he trained me well. And so good job, Karen.
Song lyrics are really useful for remembering things and for learning grammar patterns that are really boring to memorize reading them out of the book.
Yep.
There are a lot of things that I learned through song lyrics, like in Japanese, which I don't know very well, but I know some sentences because of songs.
I am advocate number one for chanting and songs to teach learning and grammar. It just makes things sticky. If you can incorporate body motions, like you have to embarrass your older students to do it, but you can prove to them that this will save you time and don't be embarrassed. You're just in my classroom. Listen, why would you want to do it the hard way? Just dance with me and get a 100. You have to learn it anyways. You might as well avoid the fascie. Oh, sorry. Punishment writing. Sorry. No Chinese.
People who stutter, they often sing just fine because singing keeps you on track and you don't hesitate.
My mother had a stutter, and that's true. I never noticed it when she sang. That's funny. I never noticed that.
This makes them perfect biological indicators. So when you see them, you can say, probably a healthy reef.
Okay, so in line 1 today, we had biodiversity, and now we have biological. If you don't know, BIO just means like the science of living things. And now we have this LOGIC. And if your Latin is any good, that you know this just literally, it sounds a lot like the Chinese logic. And so this is the study or knowledge of something. So you have the study or understanding of life. We also have indicator, which is related to that word monitor up there. And again, remember, monitor means to warn. And so an indicator is a little bit of evidence that your monitor can pay attention to and warn you if you have some problems.
Normally, this OR suffix is just pronounced Pretend that it's ER, but remember to spell it OR. So it's monitor, indicator. We don't say monitor, indicator, because a lot of L2 learners, they have trouble with the schwa.
That's right. You should always be writing down the correct sound there.
However, sometimes we may pronounce it as or. For example, the word mentor, both are correct. So sometimes it is or. You have to watch for that. However, counting them visually is tricky because they often stay hidden. Now, they're pretty small. It's already hard to count them just by looking. But if a lot of them are hiding, you have no way to count all of them.
Yeah, in fact, they'll often be hiding, waiting for you. They are grumpy little guys. And you'll just be checking for something or other, and one will jump out and again, release the power of the sun upon you. It will snap that water at you. And of course, it's really small, and the area of effect is tiny relative to the size of us, but you don't want to get your finger there. It'll hurt.
It'll hurt. Okay, next paragraph.
Okay, to address this, scientists turn to sound. So when we turn to something, we use or we will seek out advice. We can turn to our mentor, that word we used just a few moments ago. We can look to somebody. We can turn to someone, meaning we can ask them for advice. Or here, we just mean use sound. Scientists are going to use sound to find out about our biological indicators of the health of the coral reef.
Instead of just using their eyes.
Pistol shrimp snaps are loud, short, and rich in energy.
So that's why sound is a good way to try to detect them.
They stand out from background ocean noise. Now, I tried to find out about how loud the ambient ocean is, and I didn't get a really satisfying answer. Yesterday, we learned that the pistol shrimp can reach up to 218 decibels. A jet engine is 120. I think you said a rocket engine was like 180. 180. And that the deep ocean, where you're thinking like where whales and sharks would swim, is more like 70 decibels to 90 decibels. But if you're in shallow waters or there are a lot of boats, it obviously can be much noisier, even increasing to levels over 100 decibels, which, I don't know, it seems a little sad if you ask me. Apparently, rain is a big way of increasing the noise levels of an ocean. I didn't know that. Because
I didn't either. Yeah, but it makes sense,
heavy
absolutely.
Downpours will reverberate through the water.
But I do know that very large ships sailing through the ocean, they have propellers that create a huge noise that really disturbs the creatures living in the ocean.
Yeah, and those creatures have specialized ears. For us, hearing underwater is challenging, but water is a better medium for sound than air, actually. And so I'm guessing if you have special water-adapted ears, that this is going to create a lot of trouble for you.
Especially at low frequencies.
Scientists use underwater microphones called hydrophones to detect these sounds.
So how are they going to find these sounds of the shrimp? If they're just looking through an underwater camera, they may not get them, but they have a special device that's especially sensitive to sound.
So microphone, that's the thing you talk into to make your sound louder. PHON just means sound, phone, right? And a hydrophone is a microphone you can use in the water because hydro means water. By placing these microphones in strategic patterns, experts can analyze where these sounds come from and estimate the population size without disturbing ocean life. That's so creative to me. Like the idea that okay, we don't want to bother these creatures and create biological stress. This is already an endangered environment. We can't see them. It's hard to count them. It's expensive and dangerous. What if we just put microphones not too far unlike what they did in World War II when they first discovered these guys, put it in a pattern and make some estimates? Because if you do it enough times, you'll get to hear that snapping pattern. And if you hear lots of snaps, there must be a lot of shrimp. Very clever. I think this is really interesting.
That's sort of how Taiwan places earthquake sensors all over the island.
All over the place, right?
So they know just how strong that earthquake was in any given area. In the West, we don't really have that.
There's always that mesh net kind of it's kind of everywhere, right? And that wide spacing of microphones will give you an average number, and you can use that to your advantage. It's a clever system.
That's right.
Before we begin paragraph 3, we need to look at the word analyze. And just as a reminder, you are listening to Analytical English.
Right.
So you should know what this word means. Now, this is actually ancient Greek, and it means quite literally to break up or to loosen. And the idea is if you have something really tight and together, you can't really see how it's put together. Think of you're tying a knot with a string. But if you're able to loosen it, you could kind of see where the strings turn left and right and inside and out. By breaking things into smaller parts, you can understand it better. You can analyze it by loosening it up, and therefore you have a deeper understanding.
Okay, on to paragraph 3. Pistol shrimp populations are now showing up in surprising new locations where the water was once too cold for them to survive. And this is happening all over the globe. That creatures that could not live in a certain area because it was too cold, they are now going into that area.
Yeah, right now it's a good time to be a creature that needs warmer temperatures and maybe some higher acidity because of the carbon. But if you're a creature that needs cold, and famously polar bears are those creatures, you're kind of in a tough spot. The world is not favoring you right now.
I have read that polar bears are starting to mate with grizzlies so that they are better able to adapt to higher temperatures.
So what's the phrase from Jurassic Park? Life finds a way. But although isn't that a little bit sad that it has to be that way?
That's right. And both of them are fearsome creatures.
Grizzly, yeah, exactly. That was the thought in my mind.
Yeah.
There was only one creature that the Native Americans were afraid of when they were exploring kind of the interior of the United States, like during the Lewis and Clark expedition. It was the grizzly bear. They were like, there's only one thing we won't do. We know there are grizzlies and we are not going through there. You're welcome to go through there, but you're on your own, buddy.
Black bears can also be dangerous, but nothing like the grizzly.
Nothing like a grizzly bear.
Their expanding range signals warming seas and shifting climate patterns. So this is evidence of global warming. There are people who deny it. They say, we're overreacting. It's, nothing. It's just these things happen. They come and they go. No, it's happening.
Here's what's always weird to me about the anti-climate change argument. Like, let's just say everything scientists estimate is wrong. Let's just say everything they say about polluting the earth, warming the air, increasing ocean acidity is 100% wrong. What's the premise of global warming? There is too much carbon and pollution in the air. The premise of just saying, well, who cares how much we pollute the earth and who cares about the effects, or even if they don't exist? Don't you want to leave a world that's healthier for your children than when you arrived? Like, the whole premise of it is ridiculous. You're polluting the air. Why wouldn't you want to leave a nicer world for your family?
You love your cat and your dog. Do you want them pooping all over your house?
It's such a weird premise. Like, let's just say the scientists are wrong. Who cares? It's still a cleaner world.
And we are going to run out of petroleum. It's not going to last forever.
An expanding range is a growing range, and a shifting climate pattern just means it's changing, and it's not necessarily clear one way or the other. It kind of depends where you are because the world is so big and ocean currents. You may actually end up with colder weather, and that's just because the world is kind of a large place. What we do know is that carbon influences our environment.
Our next sentence, these noisy little creatures are no longer just indicating reef health. So this is not the only thing, how healthy this particular reef is. It's a much bigger question. They're broadcasting warnings about Earth environmental changes. So this is part of a huge, huge change that is affecting everything. Like whole cities are going to be underwater at a certain point.
I recall once seeing an image of, what is it called, sea level rises and the way it could affect cities. Now, I'll tell you a little bit about me. I live in the northern part of Taipei, not terribly far from the ocean.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing predicted climate levels in worst case scenarios. And so it was obvious, this is not probably the most likely thing to happen, but let's just look at what it would look like. And they simulate the ocean levels. And pretty much my entire neighborhood was underwater, which, I would appreciate beachfront property, but not like that.
Exactly. Maybe it's time we listened more carefully to what all that snapping is really telling us. We are getting all kinds of warnings from many places. This is just one of them. Okay, we have a few questions for you today. Number 1, which of the following correctly shows the order of a pistol shrimp's attack?
So we have 4 choices here, and we have to put them in the correct order. A, the shrimp closes its claw.
B, a bubble forms and collapses.
C, a jet of water shoots out.
D, a loud snapping sound is produced. So let's figure out the order in which these happen. The answer is actually D, which gives us a sequence A, C, B, D. Should we just read it one more time?
I think so.
So we can make more sense of it. A, the shrimp closes its claw.
C, a jet of water shoots out.
B, a bubble forms and collapses.
And finally, D, a loud snapping sound is produced.
So that is the answer, letter D. Let's move on to number 2.
Which of the following is true about the U.S. Navy during World War II?
A, it trained pistol shrimp to stay quiet around its ships. I want to break out laughing. That's hilarious.
I just see them training
funny.
These grumpy little shrimp in like their little sailor
and they're
hats.
all lined up, saluting.
It's so cute. All right, letter B. So obviously A is super wrong. But adorable.
It's very funny.
B, its submarines were once attacked by pistol shrimp.
The pistol shrimp are coming.
Yeah, they're not that big.
Okay. C, its vessels used pistol shrimp noise to avoid detection. That is the correct answer. But we still can listen to D.
It developed new sonar technology inspired by pistol shrimp. No, that's wrong. They used sonar to kind of understand what was this sound? What is producing it? And sonar led to the understanding of pistol shrimp. It did not develop new sonar technology.
So the answer to question 2 is C. On to question 3. What does the author mean by saying noise is an indicator of a healthy seabed in the first paragraph of the Day 2 passage?
Letter A, the shock waves scare away sea creatures that might harm the reefs. And no, see, the pistol shrimp are kind of proving that the reef is healthy because they need a place to live. They like to hide inside. And so they're not scaring away anything that might harm the reef. They're kind of showing like, hey, look at all these pistol shrimp. This is a good, healthy reef.
So this is not the correct answer. B, the constant snapping sounds suggest a reef rich in marine life, and that is the correct answer.
Biodiversity.
Right.
All right, let's go to letter C here just very quickly. The loud snapping creates more oxygen for the coral reefs.
Said nothing about that.
No, it doesn't do that at all. It doesn't create oxygen. It's just creating a bubble, and then it's already in there.
And D, the shock waves help clean the coral reefs. No, so the answer is B. Question 4.
What is the main idea of the last paragraph of the Day 2 passage?
A, the spread of pistol shrimp is causing ocean temperatures to rise. No, that's not what's causing it.
Letter B, the presence of pistol shrimp in new areas reflects global warming. That is the correct answer because they need to live in areas where coral reefs exist, and coral reefs generally need quite warm ocean waters, but not too warm.
They are not causing the warming. They're just going to places where it's warm enough for them to survive, and now previously cold areas are getting warmer. Letter C, pistol shrimp are becoming a new food source for marine life in colder regions. No, mentions nothing about that.
And letter D, pistol shrimp are evolving to become louder in order to survive in new environments. No, that's not the main idea, and that's not even true. Being loud doesn't help them at all. It's that snapping motion. Kind of the snap is the effect of their dangerous attack, but it is not in any way an evolutionary benefit to them. They wouldn't want to be noticed.
So letter B is the correct answer.
So a quick fact before we go, we mentioned in Day 1 that the water shooting out of a pistol shrimp comes out at a high speed of about 25 meters per second. Just for reference, Usain Bolt, the fastest human in the world, can run at a speed of 10.44 meters per second, significantly slower than our little snappy friend, the pistol shrimp.
And he says, I am the fastest. And he may be among humans, but not among pistol shrimp.
Certainly not.
That's it for today. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.